Okay, Shiraz, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. You and I talked separately, and I thought what you're doing is fascinating because there's a lot of coaches and they have different bents and different approaches as to how they help people and therapists and all these people out there. But I think stuff you're doing is really fascinating, and a lot of it came from really your own journey, right? So maybe we go backward and you tell me about, kind of your background, where you grew up, how you grew up with your family and things like that, and then the things you faced, because you told me your story and how it kind of led you to what you're doing today. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's
I
great.
appreciate it.
Yep. And my story. Okay, so my story.
We got a full hour, so go ahead.
Full hour. It starts off pretty well. I had a good childhood. Uh, my mom was sick for a lot of it. She got sick when I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
But otherwise, growing up, everything was going well. And then it was at age 22 that my life just took a turn, and I got rheumatoid arthritis at age 22.
Yeah, that's young to come down with that. I have a friend, but he's 50. He came down with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So big shock, and
right.
Completely turned my life around. Well, not around, upside down.
Right.
And so now I'm spending a lot of time just in bed in pain.
Sure.
Yeah, inflammation of the body.
People that don't know about it, it's very debilitating. It's very painful, right? It flames up all different times. It's hard to manage.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just in one part of my body, because sometimes when people get arthritis, it's like, oh, it's my bad knee or my hip. It was in every joint in my body.
Right. Sure.
So that was not a pleasant experience.
No.
And
especially when you're 22, you should be out running around having a great time, right?
I was actually a bodybuilder, and I
wow.
at the time.
Okay.
So yeah, so all that just had to come to a halt.
Yeah, of course, no choice, right?
Yeah. And so then it would go into recession for a while, and then you come back, and then back and forth. So I had to have a career where I could manage this. And
there was it would just flame up, right? With no explanation. It would just come and go, or was it stress related, or?
Well, that was the secret I had to find out.
Ah, okay.
And to me, there was no reason as to what was causing it.
Meaning there was nothing consistent about
at
right.
all.
Okay, got it.
There were times where it would go away for a while, usually when I was traveling.
Yeah.
And so everyone kept saying, well, it's got to do with the climate. It's Canadian climate.
Right. Everyone has an answer to you, right? I mean, that's the way people are. And they mean well, but yeah. But none of it made sense to you. There was nothing consistent.
No, there was nothing consistent.
Yeah.
So eventually it got to a point where I said, okay, that's it. I've got to do something about this. And I had a talk with my dad, and he said, well, there's this program called combined therapy over in India.
Okay.
And they've had successes with multiple illnesses. And I said, multiple illnesses? That's weird, because you usually specialize on something. There's cancer, arthritis.
Sure, exactly.
So he's saying it's across the board. So, okay, I'm going to go try this out. And I went over there, and it was just this small place over in India near the Himalayan mountains. It's beautiful, scenic, wonderful place to heal.
Right.
And
you're like going to the place that Batman went to when he climbed up in the mountain. You don't know who you're going to see, right? You're in the middle of nowhere, Eastern medicine.
Yep. And I came back.
Well, you how old were you at this point, Shiraz?
Oh my gosh.
Because you came down with it at 22, but obviously you didn't go there when you were 22.
No, this was just about hitting 40. Just either, I can't remember. It's like 40 or early 40s.
Oh, so you've been living with this pain for almost like 18 plus years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Really got to reach rock bottom.
Sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
Trying to help people not do that, because, I'm like.
Of course. Yeah. We'll get into all the great stuff you're doing now.
So I get there, this guy talks to me for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And just the way my dad told me about this thing in India, I was expecting one of these guys like a Reiki master.
Yeah, right. Like in a bamboo hut, and he's going to sit there and he's blind or something. Right. Now, was this a clinic? Like there were other people there?
No, this is the weird thing. And this is what I've also just realized, like there's no coincidences.
Right. There probably aren't any coincidences. Yeah.
At all. And when I went over there I looked on the website, they said the combined therapy program's there, but it's part of this bigger institute that they were there.
Right.
That was over there. I went over, and then they tell me, no, we closed the combined therapy a couple of years ago.
You got all the way to India, to near the Himalayan mountains. They tell you, oh, we're closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was so funny. And I was like, why didn't anyone tell me this? Because I'd mentioned it when I was planning on the trip, and
Right.
they had the building that was labeled combined therapy. There was just no one in it.
Oh my goodness.
And so and I'm thinking, but apparently this program had a lot of success. They said, yeah, but it was only run by three guys and they all went off to do other work in the world. Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm here and I'm like, okay, now what do I do? I've booked a 5 month stay in this place.
Yeah.
'Cause
5 months you were going to be there?
yeah, well, I didn't know how long it took, but for some reason I just said, let's just go. I'm going to go for 5 months.
So you just like did you have a job at that point? You
No,
quit your job?
I was out. I was out of work at that time.
Okay, so you just took off and you went there. Okay, yeah. So here you are going to this place. Nobody tells you. Their website was still up. Were there any websites then?
But the website's up. I mean, there's
Yeah,
all this other
right.
stuff going on there. There was an
Right.
Ayurvedic center. So I went to the Ayurvedic center to see if that through the diet and the doctors put you through this program and it cleans out your system. I thought, well, maybe if I just do that, it can help with the
That
arthritis.
was in India too?
I was in the same place.
Oh,
Right?
so you figure, okay, I'll go there now because this place is closed.
Yeah. So it's the next best thing. And that place was nice. It's a really good place. And I
Right.
recommend going there to clean out your system once a year.
Right.
And they treat you well. It's a beautiful program. You get a massage every day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's with these special oils that get into your skin to clean
Nice.
things out.
Right.
And so that actually helped to stop the arthritis. I wasn't getting any better, but I wasn't getting any worse.
Okay.
I was feeling kind of good. And I
So
thought,
I
maybe,
leveled off. You're on a
yeah,
plateau now. Okay.
I thought if I keep with it, maybe it'll start to reverse. But we'll
Right.
just
But the
see.
whole thing's a crazy story already because you traveled halfway around the world to go to this special place that you find doesn't exist. Luckily, there's something else to go to. And you
Yep,
figure, well, I got 5 months anyway, so I'm going to stick it out. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then on month 3, one of the guys that ran the combined therapy program came there to visit.
Oh, so about halfway
And
through your time.
yeah, so I'm
Okay.
just like, wait, what? A
Right.
guy
I
is
got to talk to this guy.
I grab him. I'm like,
Right.
you've got to put me through the program. And he's like, okay. And I'm like,
Well,
okay,
that's
fine, all right.
nice.
And didn't even charge me. He
Yeah.
just,
You thought
yeah,
you'd have to argue with him, right? And he's like,
yeah,
sure.
I'll do it. And that was
Okay.
his nature too. He's just so calm
Yeah.
and
Well, it's that part of the
he can
world. I think they're
take care
more,
of you.
yeah, Zen, right? They're more like
Very
Zen
zen.
over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So he starts putting me through the program, and most of it, not all, but almost all of it, is just him talking to me about my life and my right from my childhood up to now.
Okay.
And it feels like I'm talking to a psychiatrist, not that
Yeah.
I'm
Like
just
going through your life and peeling back the onion, right? The whole thing. Yeah.
so eventually after the 2 weeks, he says, so here's what happened. Your mom got sick when you were 8 years old. And I said, yeah. He said, so you love your mom, you love your mom. She was still alive at the time, very much. And you wanted her to be taken care of, but you also realized that she couldn't take care of your brother and sister and you. So you decided you wanted to be responsible and help take care of everyone. And
Okay.
I said, okay, yeah, I kind of remember that. And he said, well, from what you were telling me, this is how it all worked. And he said, so now you're responsible for your mom and your brother and your sister. Now, as an 8-year-old kid, that's not really a lot, but in your mind, you're responsible, right? So,
Right. Yeah. Well, everything's relative, right? So to
yeah.
you, right. Of course.
So then you added in your dad, then you added in your cousins, then you added in your best friends. And eventually you created this belief that you're responsible for everyone in your life.
Right. So you have this like huge pile on your back.
Yeah.
Right.
And the older I got and the more people I brought into my life, the more it got worse.
Right. Well, it's becoming, that was your personality now, right?
Yeah.
You support everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
And I argued.
Okay.
I said, no, I am not responsible for everyone in my life. I
Right.
know I'm a responsible person, but I'm not
Right.
responsible for everyone. He goes, not consciously.
Right. Subconsciously.
Subconsciously, you feel you're responsible for everyone.
Sure.
And I said, okay, let's just say that's true. What the hell does that have to do with having
Right. Exactly. What does that have to do with me having rheumatoid arthritis?
Yeah, there's no connection. And
Right. Well, that's the difference in Eastern medicine and Western medicine. We don't think
yeah,
there's a connection, but clearly there is.
yeah.
Okay.
And so then he said, listen, you don't want to be responsible, but you feel you have to be. And if you're lying in bed in pain, you have the perfect excuse not to be responsible for anyone. It's the solution to a problem you don't even know you have.
So it's like your body almost said, let's create this problem and then we don't have to be, gives us a break. And when we're
Yeah.
ready for a break, we'll just make the rheumatoid arthritis act up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And think about this, because no one actually expected me to be responsible for them. It's all me thinking
Right.
I have to be.
They didn't beg you for, yeah.
No. And there was no one going to say, if I wasn't sick, there's no one going to say, hey, Shiraz, why aren't you taking care of me? Why aren't you doing this? That's not in their world. It's all in my world. Everything was made up by me.
Right.
And
But
so,
we do that in our lives.
oh, people do it all the time.
Right. We take on responsibility. Nobody asks us to. We just feel it's in our nature. I don't know. We have these traumatic experiences, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then he pointed out, and after years now working with people, I've realized 99+% of chronic illnesses form because of this. It's a body solution to a problem the person doesn't know they have.
That's what makes it chronic, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a real illness. I mean, I've got real damage in my body.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Right.
But that's how it works. And so then I looked at him and I said, wait a sec. So if that's what's going on, then all I have to do is say, I'm not going to be responsible for anyone except for me. And I shouldn't have arthritis.
Yeah, but you got to make sure that your body and your mind believe that.
Yeah. And that's what he said. If you actually believe that, you can actually be responsible for only you will not have arthritis. And I said, fine, that's what I'm going to do. And I woke up the next morning and there was no pain, no inflammation. Some of my mobility had come back.
The next day.
The next day. Right? And
Right.
I was freaking out, like, what the hell just happened? You can't get rid of an illness like that overnight, but apparently you can.
Oh, yeah. Well, you had an epiphany. You had a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when I look back at my life, I started to see the patterns. When I had a job overseas, my arthritis would lighten up as soon as I got the job because my subconscious knew I was leaving everyone I was responsible for. And
so you could stay there.
Yeah, and I'd be fine. I'd be out of the arthritis, and the arthritis would start to creep in within 4 to 6 weeks of me heading back home in anticipation of the responsibility.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and if my family, it's themselves, or some of my friends were having big issues, my arthritis would kick in, so I don't have to be responsible for that. And if things were going well for them, my arthritis would lighten up.
Right.
And I could see it all from hindsight. I could see
hindsight because you didn't have the awareness of the consciousness to realize what was going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was all
enlightenment,
there.
Right?
It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, but it's not. What's incredible is what you're doing working with people. It's not that incredible when he points it out to you, and obviously took a while. It didn't happen overnight. He says, look what you're doing. You go, oh, I see it now. It took a while. I'm sure you said going through your whole life. But then you look back and like you said, in hindsight, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And the neat thing was also not just the timing of him being there at the right moment while I was there and just happened.
Yeah. Right. No coincidences. Right.
But it was also, I realized later that if I had met him at, say, 23.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been.
What's going on? I would have said, you're full of crap. Shut up.
Come on. I just got this a year ago. It'll go away in a couple of years, Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, I think there's forces in the universe that kind of bring you to the place you're supposed to be. And then if you stuck it out, so they kind of brought the person there that, I don't know. It's like The Secret, that book where it's, there are underlying forces in life, I think, that make things happen in weird ways that we can't explain, but it happens for the right reason, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you finished out your 5 months there.
I finished my 5 months. My body was clean.
Right.
My doctor said I had the heart rate of someone, the heart rate of a sleeping man and the blood pressure of a newborn baby.
There you go. Well, that was good answer. That was good news, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so then I came home and I started going back to my normal routine. Although I discovered this, I didn't think that much about it.
Right. It wasn't like you went there and you were certified in combined therapy and a trained professional. This guy went back to his life after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until years later when I'd actually watched The Secret.
Okay.
And from there, I enrolled in Bob Proctor's coaching program.
Okay.
And Joe Vitale's coaching program. So
yeah. I don't know their materials that well, but I know both those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. They're both in The Secret.
Right.
And so I spent something like almost $40,000 for
educating yourself,
for educating to get myself to this level. Because I said, listen, I realized I've been living in this story of 6-figure salary.
Right.
It's better than a lot of people. But my friends and I, from the time we were in high school, we kept talking about getting a 6-figure salary job. And every one of us just sort of ended up there. But the thing I didn't realize is, to me, in my subconscious, six figures is $100,000.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not
Because
600. It's not 800.
right. Well, those are all six figures. So you
Yeah.
think about once you hit six figures, you're there.
Yeah.
If you say seven figures, you probably stop at 1 million. You won't get to 9 million.
And that was the whole thing. I said, well, what if I stop thinking six figures and go to seven figures?
Yeah.
So I'll take these coaching programs, and then I'll get to that seven figures. And I went from six figures to zero figures.
Okay.
Right. And this is not about saying that Bob's program sucks or Joe's program sucks. It's that I hit this other block that said, you can't do that.
Right.
That is beyond you. And instead of you trying to get there, we're just going to make you go the other way.
Right. You couldn't get over your mindset. You couldn't.
I could not.
Right.
Right. And it was kind of crazy, because here I am being coached by some of the top people in the world.
Right.
And I go from six figures to zero figures. And for 2 years, I made $0. And it was
through your coaching business.
So no,
what were you doing?
I was trying to start online businesses. I still wasn't at the coaching place. I was just trying to
You were like finding yourself as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You were really the accidental entrepreneur trying to, right?
Horrible job doing it.
Right. But we all learn that way, you know.
I even ended up in a meeting with Bob Proctor at his house for one of the projects I was working on, but Bob just didn't get what I was doing, so that didn't pan through. And I thought that was going to be the big break. This is
right. Here it's happening.
In Bob's house, right?
Right.
Like, oh my God. And so none of this was working. And the panic was building. And
do you remember what it was that you were showing Bob? What?
It was an app based on his teachings for the next generation, because everything he was teaching, you write it down, you make these lists, you do this. And I said, listen, this generation doesn't do that. They're all online.
Right.
So here's a phone app that does exactly, it's your teachings, but it's all digital. But at that point, I don't know if it's changed, because I haven't seen anything like that come up. But he didn't get it. He didn't get that. This is the next
different generation, right? It was a longer time ago. Yeah.
Okay. So that just sort of.
He probably has an app now.
It probably exists now.
Because everyone has an app, right? Exactly.
I know he had apps.
You were a little bit before your time.
Yeah, he had apps out there, but not for that specific. Like, this is a methodology you teach, and I've encapsulated it.
I see.
They had apps for like years a lesson from Bob Proctor. You listen to the app, and you'd get a lesson and stuff.
Right.
This was very interactive, really change your life kind of thing. And so I developed this app, and just no one knew about it, because I didn't have that backing to get it promoted out there.
Got it.
And so that just went up. But that led me to this. Now we have this money problem. First we had the illness problem. Now we got the money problem.
Yeah. 2 years without making money is difficult.
Yeah. And when things got really bad, I got to that point where, when you're using one credit card to pay off the other credit card.
Yeah. You're just moving things around, and you're going into you're spiraling down, basically.
So I'm at $80,000 in debt.
Oh, that's a nice number.
And I've just put that last payment from one credit card into the other credit card, and I know I'm done. It's over.
Right. Yeah. You hit a brick wall. There's nowhere more. You can't do this anymore. Eventually it taps out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I'm at this point where I'm about to just lose everything, thinking about declaring bankruptcy. And there was just so much panic and frustration, and something just hit me and said, well, what if you stop panicking and being frustrated? What if you just let go of it all?
Right.
Right. And so I said,
which, by the way, not many people can even say that to themselves.
No. And it's hard. And I got forced to that last.
Yeah. You got to really hit bottom, right? You got to hit bottom. You got no other choice.
Yeah. And I just let it go. I let all the stress go. And I went, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. I didn't stop doing anything. I was still taking action, but I just let that burden go. And said,
right. What's the worst that can happen, right?
Yeah. If I do a bankruptcy, I reset.
Whatever. You'll deal with that then when you get there. Don't worry about it now. Yeah. But a lot of people have trouble doing that. I'm pretty good at it, but just because I've had plenty of crap in my life too. But, you just get to the point where you say, how bad could it be? They're not going to come and take me in the night and put me in a sack and lock me up in a mountain,
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of that's mindset, right?
All of it is mindset.
All of it. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm following right along. I brought up the secret. It's like you paid me to do this interview, right? And we didn't discuss this ahead of time.
Not at all.
Right.
So this is, so this is at this moment, I'm in this place where it's like, okay, the stress is gone. I'm still in the exact same position. But as a result of that, within 2 days, I landed another 6-figure job.
2 days?
within 2 days. And it's just like, it was brought to me. It wasn't in any of the places I was applying. One of my friends says, there's a position opened up at my company. I think you'd be perfect for it. And then boom, I was in there.
And he didn't even have your resume in it. You would have gotten it even if you hadn't sent resumes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you could say that's coincidence, but it's like, as soon as I went
No.
to that place of, okay,
Yeah.
like, just relax. Let
Right. How many times can it happen and still be a coincidence?
Exactly.
Right.
So now I'm working and I'm enjoying my job. I'm having a great time, but now it's nagging at me. This has happened twice now where this shift occurs and reality changes around me.
Right.
And physical reality, my body physically just changed.
Yeah.
It's just,
Right.
so
right.
I start delving into it. I start looking at taking courses, different modalities, reading up everything I can. And I started learning about this stuff. But everything I'm learning doesn't feel right. It feels incomplete, or it feels clumsy, or you got too many tools. And so finally I start stripping all that away and get to something that's really simple. And I start practicing it on people. And then one of my friends says, Shiraz, people will pay you for this.
So you're really kind of developing your own methodology from all the things that you've encountered and experienced, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she said, people
Takes a lot of guts to do that, by the way. Not a lot of people could.
Well,
You got a lot of faith in yourself,
it didn't feel like I had a lot of guts. It felt like,
To
there's
you, it
something,
didn't, right?
it's something like, it's just, you're trying to find, it's like you're trying to come up with the right perfect cake recipe. And this has got too little.
Right. You're not going to make my own. Right.
Yeah. So I challenged her. I said, no one's going to pay me to do this. This is just something I'm trying to practice and get the hang of. And she goes, no, they will. So
Now, had you helped anybody at that point, or was it just yourself?
Well, no, it was just my friends. I was practicing my friends.
So you were helping them with little things and issues and stuff. Okay, good. So you had some people you'd practice on. Okay.
I practice on. And so then I said, fine. And I said, you know what? Let's start at $100 an hour. Just
okay.
I picked it what I thought was a really high amount.
Right.
Because I was trying to prove to her no one's going to pay for this.
Yeah. That's a good way to approach it, right?
Yeah. And then people started putting money in my hands, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus, people are paying for this.
Yeah. Well, they're seeing results, or hearing, that's what happens.
Yeah. And the thing is, what had happened.
But how did you go about finding your first few, let's not call them patients, let's call them clients.
Clients.
Okay.
So some of them came from recommended from my friends, but the big thing actually was Meetup.
Oh, okay.
So meetup.com. I got on there and I just started posting that I was going to do these little workshops. Some of them free, some of them $10. Just
to feel the water, right? Test the water. Okay, yeah, that's how a lot of us have connected. It's kind of how I got involved in all these groups and then met you. Really, it really started with Meetup.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so Meetup started bringing me clients.
Right.
Not a lot, but people were coming out to the workshops, and then I'd get some people that were paying the $100 for the service after that. And then one day I had all these meetups that were about networking and business and everything, but there was this one meetup that was just a social thing. We get together for coffee every Tuesday.
Okay.
And one day the organizer comes in.
Just networking, really, right? Coffee, networking.
Coffee, hanging out.
Yeah.
But it's not about business at all.
Okay.
No one there even knew what I did. And I purposely didn't tell them that.
Right. Why tell them?
This is my social time.
Right. Yeah.
And the girl that ran it came in one day and she was just frazzled and she was near tears. And it all had to do with her divorce. And she's this has been going on for 2 years to try to get this divorce finalized. And I looked at it, I said, and I could see there was something that could shift. So I said, is it okay if I do something with you? And she's like, what? I said, I feel I can do something to help you here. And it's just going to take a couple minutes. And will you let me? And she goes, okay, sure.
What does she have to lose at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do my technique on her, and it was literally like 3 minutes that I worked on her. And then I didn't see her again for the next week till we had another coffee. And so I walk into the coffee thing that next week, and she sees me walk in, gets up, and just like virtually
folds you over,
me, right?
Right.
And
doing things that we're not allowed to do now in society because of what's happened.
Yeah.
You can't jump on your friends and hug them, and right.
Yeah. And she's just like, what the hell did you do to me? And I'm like, what happened? She goes, I woke up the next morning and I had such clarity, and I got my entire divorce resolved in 2 days. I've been at it for 2 years. And I just did what I did. She goes, everyone needs to know what you do. And so she said, I'm going to promote you. And when I've been doing my events, I've been getting on the low end 0 and on the high end 10 people to come out.
Okay. Yeah. You're just
Right?
getting the word out, just getting
Yeah.
started. Right.
So she starts organizing for me. And now we've got 50 people coming out at a time for the events because her network is so huge.
Right. And
And
you
so
found a
now,
champion for your cause. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And so now the business just starts to take off. And it's been great. And the things that guy did for me that took 2 weeks to get to that one belief, I've managed to get to minutes with other people now. And there's times where I'm working with people and we've got to work week after week, scraping belief after belief after belief.
Right. It's not always, doesn't always take 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
But there are times where it's one session of 1 hour. And I did that with one girl. We did the session and then I didn't hear from her for 3 months. And then she sends me an email. She goes, sorry, I haven't been in touch with you. But after the session, I quit my job, dumped my boyfriend, got out of my house. And now I'm working at a wellness center in Costa Rica. And I've never been happier in my life. Thank you. And I was like, what?
Right. Hello. Yeah, but those are all good stories, right? It gives you confidence that what you're doing is the right thing and good
Yeah.
thing for people.
And it's amazing because it works with health. It works with money. It works with relationships. It's because it's all just those stories that are running in the background. And I'm like, this story is running and this story is running and this story is running. And I make you aware of it. And once you're aware of it, now you can change it. Because like
Right.
me, if you're not aware of the story, you
Right.
can't do anything.
Of course. Well, we talked about that when we first met, is that 90% of all these things we talk about and the problems that you have and the difficulties you have in relationships and even at work and how you deal with people, it's all, I mean, I guess there are people who aren't nice in general, but for the most part, it's that you don't realize what you're doing or how you're acting or how it's affecting you, right? All those kinds of things.
Yep.
It's a level of consciousness that somebody from the outside like you, who they consider an expert and a professional, kind of wakes them up to.
Yep.
I guess it's that simple.
It is. And that's the thing. It is so simple. And that's one of the reasons that I created this is that it needed to be simple. It needed to be simple and quick.
Right.
And my friends had started calling me the wizard because of the results. They're
Did
like,
you have a name for the company at this point or no?
I did not have a name for the company,
Okay.
but people were referring to me as the wizard.
Okay.
And then I had to create the name for the company, for the modality. And they said, well, it's got to be something around magic because you're the wizard.
You're like, it's
I said,
magic.
yeah. I said, but it's technically not magic. It's energy. I just work with people's energy. And so then it just hit me. It's like energetic magic. Done.
So when you first got started, how long ago was that?
I started working and practicing with people in 2012, 2013.
So it's been about 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah, it officially became Energetic Magic in 2014. So it's been 6 years since.
Did you picked up the name?
Of it, yeah.
Okay. So, so let's talk about, what you do. Obviously, this is a business podcast, right? So we talk to business owners. That's our audience, entrepreneurs, people that are trying to make their way in the world with, and hopefully not by accident, but that's why they need you probably because they are doing it by accident. That's the biggest problem. What kind of things have you done or worked with or, help people? Have you helped people in business? Well, you said you did because you've helped people improve their income and so forth, right?
So, there's so many different ones. So
yeah, well, you don't have to give me all the stories, but I want to hear some good stories about what you've done for people,
Okay, so there was one client. She was one of my longest term clients,
and there's a book in there somewhere, by the way.
There is a book in there, How to Rewrite Reality.
Yeah, that's a good. Did you write it yet, or that's the name in your head?
It's written. It's on Amazon. You can pick it up.
Okay, we'll put a link in the show notes. Okay. I'm on the Amazon. What do they call it? The Amazon Associates program. And then if they buy your book, I make 4.5 cents or something.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll support the podcast.
On the program too. It's funny. It's so simple to just be in that program. And then whenever you're recommending something, why not get paid for it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, one of my clients, and this was one of my favorite stories, is that she'd built up her business. We got her going really well. And then she just plateaued and she couldn't get any further.
Okay.
And she was telling me, she's like, it's just frustrating because I'm trying different promotions, I'm doing deals, and
so this is after she'd already worked with you to start.
Yeah, so she'd worked with me, and she's actually in the 6 years she's been working with me, she has quintupled her income.
So she's been working with you almost from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
Quintupled is
pretty much
fourfold. No, fivefold?
fivefold. Yeah.
Fivefold, right.
Yeah.
Quadrupled is fourfold. Okay.
Nothing really happened with income the first year because we were just cleaning out a lot of the crap.
Okay.
And then after that, basically each year she adds her income onto her income again. So that's that original salary just keeps
Right.
getting added every single year.
Okay.
And she's happy with that.
Yeah, well,
So,
who wouldn't be, right?
yeah.
Less 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 is still 0, but if it's not that, then you got to be pretty, yeah.
So yeah, so she's doing well. But there was that one year that she had it was her second year, so we had just doubled her income. And then she hit that block, and I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is really weird. But we kept talking about it, and then finally it came up, is that she has family reunions twice a year.
Okay.
And in those family reunions, her family trash talks rich people. And she had got her salary to a point that if she made any more money, she'd consider herself rich.
Right. Well, this is
So
obvious.
yeah,
Yeah, because
it's really
yeah,
obvious, but it's twofold too,
she's
because
a fear of being successful, and then all of her family's going to trash talk her, but she doesn't realize it.
yeah, but there's the other side too, is that she would become the thing she trash talks as well. So it wasn't just her
Oh,
family.
yeah, she was participating.
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, so we got her to that point where she had the awareness, she shifted, and then within like months, the income just
Took
gone.
off.
And yeah, so then she's like almost double again that year. And it's just been amazing that one belief stopped her. And she didn't have to change anything she was doing. It just releasing
It's her
that belief
mindset, right?
caused more people to show up, caused the business to expand. Right. So she was working by herself out of her home when we started, and now she's got her own clinic with 5 employees.
What kind of business was it? Or
Massage
is it
therapy.
a massage therapy? Okay.
So it's number 8 in Ontario now. So,
Oh,
and then
wow. All right. You're up in Canada. I forgot that.
we're up in Canada. Yeah. And she
Right.
won the 2019 and the 2020 business awards in her category. So
Wow.
she's
So
killed.
we met through, yeah, right. We met through Authentic Networker, right?
Yeah.
Mia Torres Group. Yeah. I just interviewed her a couple of days ago or last week maybe for the podcast. So she's impressive. Did she work with you at all?
Andy and Mia worked with me.
Okay. Well, they've had explosive growth
That
in
happened
like
after
18 months to 2 years.
So
Ridiculous.
we actually had a session. Both of them were in the session, and we dealt with Mia on visibility and Andy on being an underdog. And I talk about underdog in my book, and this is something that catches a lot of people. Is there are a lot of people that pride themselves on being the underdog?
Right.
Right? You're the guy. You're up against the man. There's all the stuff that the world is trying to get you down, but you're not going to get down. You're You're going to push through this. The problem with priding yourself on being the underdog is you can never have big success because then you're not the underdog anymore.
Yeah. You give up that. That makes sense.
And
Sure.
people don't want to give up their identity. So as long as you feel you're the underdog, you've got to be oppressed. You've got to have obstacles, and you can't be big.
Right.
And so I worked on that for Andy, and Mia just on visibility because she's an introvert. And
yeah. It's funny because you listen to her personality. She does not sound that way.
Yeah. she hides it well.
Yeah.
And at that point, they had one location of Authentic Networkers.
Okay. Just one local chapter in Toronto.
One local chapter in Toronto.
Okay.
And they were thinking about going to multiple chapters in Toronto. So that was their expansion plan. But once we got rid of Mia's visibility and Andy's underdog, instead of that, they changed direction. And now there are 4 or 5 different countries, at least.
Yeah, 103 chapters of 27,000 members. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So yeah, it just went.
I thought she was going to tell me when I first talked to her, and she told me she's an introvert, which I thought was bizarre. But I thought she was going to tell me they've been doing this for 10 or 12 years. I mean,
yeah,
craziness.
They're doing so.
And they're infectious. Her energy is very infectious. So I think it really promotes her brand. What she does. So what other businesses have you worked with? Kinds of businesses, business owners? Do you remember?
Oh, it's across the spectrum. I've worked with people that do real estate. I've worked in construction. I've worked with multiple massage therapists because they start referring each other. Sales businesses. I'm working with a relationship coach now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's all over, and and it's not just in business. Like if you have a business that can improve, but if you just got a job, one of the people that's in my monthly magic program,
Right.
Each month we have coaching sessions, and I say, well, do you have any wins this month? And of course, there's always wins from people.
Is
And
this
one of the
like a group program or is this one-on-one?
it's group program.
Okay. They pay monthly and they go to one session a month or something?
So there's 2 group sessions each month,
Okay.
and they're on the same day because I've got clients in Europe and clients on the West Coast. So one's at 1
Okay.
p.m., at 8 p.m. So we cover everyone, and you can
Okay.
come to both sessions if you want. You get the recordings if you can't make any of them.
Okay.
And yeah, and then on top of that, you've got weekly content coming out to you, and you get discounts on my other programs. And so everyone's taking advantage of the discounts right now. My programs are really getting packed because, with mostly the people from the Monthly Magic program. Which is,
Right.
I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, they all have a lot of time to work on themselves. So,
You know.
yeah.
And so this month, I asked, okay, so what are the wins? And one of the guys there, he said, well, I've been looking to make more money at my job, and he was hoping to get a raise at his job. But we had cleared some stuff the month before, and he said, so a friend of mine comes up, and kind of like with me when a friend came up and said, I have a job for you, same thing happened to him. So we're in the middle of COVID now.
Yeah.
30% increase in pay and an extra week vacation.
That's what he wanted, or that's what he got?
That's what he got. He just wanted more money in his job, and then basically this popped up right after we had done the coaching session from the last month.
Because he asked for it? Or
no? His ask was just to be able to make more money somehow, but he couldn't see how he could do it based on the fact that he's got a full-time job. He's at the will of his employer.
I got it. Right.
So and that's what we worked on. The fact that you can't have more money and your boss controls your money flow. As long as he believed his boss controlled his money flow, he was stuck.
Right. Sure.
So we got
limiting belief, right? Is that what you called it? A limiting belief?
Belief.
Right.
So then that happened for him. And so I'm like, wow, okay, anyone else? And then another guy, he's been wanting to start a business.
Okay.
And he said, but he wasn't quite sure what he wanted to do. He's got a lot of skills. He used to work with Apple, and he got laid off, but he didn't want to go back into that field. But he's been practicing and getting certified in various aspects of hypnosis.
Okay.
And
like hypnotherapy, that type of stuff?
And all that. So then he was at a networking thing online, of course, and he met someone that has a friend that has a practice that has skills that he specifically really loves and has been honing on because he was talking about those skills. And so that friend has too many clients and needs someone to send the overflow to.
Bingo.
Now he's got a business running with clients. Like it's just
well, so it's partly the secret and partly what you do.
Yeah.
You know?
And then the third one was one of my favorite clients, and she had an online event coming up, and she wanted like a few thousand. Like she's saying, if we can get between 1,000 and 3,000, it'd be amazing. But she was only at 500, just over 500 people.
Right.
And I said, so the event was in 2 days. Right. And she's like, can we clear anything? And I'm thinking of going from 500 to a couple thousand in 2 days. Like even if we clear it.
Yeah, that's a little bit of that's a little ambitious.
Yeah. So, but we worked on it. We cleared the beliefs around it. And then, so this, that was before that was from the last time we had talked. So now we're in this month. And I said, so how did that event go? And she said, 8,000 people.
What?
8,000 were at the
so
event.
And this is how many days after you guys?
So from 2 days after we had done the session, she went from 500 to 8,000 attendees.
Okay. And what did she do?
Oh, she's in travel.
No, but what did she do differently after she spoke to you that made it that big of a jump? Nothing?
You don't have to do anything. Like doing something different can be involved, but a lot of the times just the shift in energy causes the new reality to show up.
Because you're now believing and acting different and carrying yourself differently. And I guess, well, that's all about the secret, right? You don't just like say, oh, I'm going to win $1 million in the lottery. You have to really change your life and live unconsciously or subconsciously, right? So,
well, the way I look at it is you live intentionally. This is what's going to happen in my life.
Right.
Right. And so then when you're there, and it's not it has to happen and there's a lot of force behind it. It's just this natural, this is what's going to happen. If you can get to a place where you have the exact same energy of, $1 million is going to show up for me this year as, the sun's going to rise tomorrow, then $1 million will show up for you this year.
It makes
Right?
sense. It
Right?
makes
Because
sense.
there's no resistance in the sun's going to rise tomorrow.
Right.
You know
No,
it
of
for a
course
fact.
not. Right.
Right?
You completely accept it. It's not something
Yeah.
you think about. Look, people that think the earth is flat, they believe it that much too. So, it's a lot. It's a belief.
Yeah. And so, and this is amazing how it works like that, because I've had clients with, one was trying to do a healing practice,
Okay.
and she hadn't gotten any clients in 2 years. And after our session, she called me back 15 minutes later. She goes, "Someone just signed up." And I'm like, "What did you do after the session?" She goes, "No, it was from a job posting I'd made on a job board 2 years ago. Someone finally responded to it. No one's responded to it in 2 years."
Yeah,
And right
that's
after
weird.
the session, boom.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I believe in all that stuff. People probably think I'm nuts, but yeah, I think that your mindset is huge, but it can't be like artificial. It
no,
doesn't work.
you can't fake it.
Yeah. You
Right.
could, but it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You don't really believe it yourself.
So, and that's what it comes down to, is when you can get those awarenesses up of, this is what's there that's blocking me, you get rid of them, and then you set this new intention of, this is what I'm going to create. It just gets created. There's no other choice.
Right.
Right. And it's amazing, like the crazy weird things that have happened to me and happened to my clients. I had a funny one. It was, after I was in that class I was teaching people, my intention is that even if things go wrong, somehow they turn out right. It just works out.
Right.
And we got out of class.
Well, but it's easy for you to believe because you've seen it time and time and time and time again.
Yeah.
Right.
But when you start focusing on the evidence of it working rather than the evidence of it not working, which is what most people tend to do,
Right.
then you start building more and more evidence of it working until that's just your reality.
Right. Well, we're taught the other way.
Yeah.
We're taught to say, well, this doesn't work, and let's find out why it doesn't work. And you're looking for all the wrong reasons. You're looking for the negative reasons. So, yeah.
But we're taught seeing is believing, but the universe works by believing is seeing.
Oh, that's a very good statement. We got to write that down. Is that in your book?
No, but it's out there. I've heard other people use the expression before, but that's how it works. As soon as you believe it, it starts to show up.
Seeing is so people say seeing is believing, but really believing is seeing.
Yes.
Okay. So whenever you sign your books, you should write that statement and sign. Yeah. I'm serious.
Well, right now when I write it, I said, I hope you can rewrite your reality to something beautiful.
Nice. You're not really a magician. You're a guru. A guru.
I don't like the term guru, because I'm just doing my thing and helping people out.
That's in your mind, though. I'm telling you my perception.
Yeah.
Look, when we were going to talk, somebody says, you got to talk to Shiraz. Well, what does he do? Well, it's kind of hard to describe. Well, I looked at his website. He's a coach. No, it's not like that. You got to talk to him. Yep. He's doing some crazy stuff, and he'll tell you crazy stories. And I said, all right, well, let's talk. So, yeah. So you not just business people. I mean, you've changed people's lives all over. You mentioned the woman who was having trouble getting past her divorce and all these, and your rheumatoid arthritis. Have you treated other people that have had illnesses they couldn't get rid of?
Worked with other illnesses. One of the ones that was amazing was I was doing an intro course. Okay. So less than an hour, just telling about what I do and saying we've got some courses coming up. And one girl came to that course. She didn't say anything. She was told to come by one of my clients. And she just sat there and listened. And I did a little work on some people there, but she was just in that energy. And this is the neat thing, is when you're in the energy of it, changes can occur without you even knowing it.
Okay. Well, because you're affecting their thinking. They don't realize. Yeah.
And so she sends me an email the next day, and she said, I've had chronic pain in my left arm.
She never talked to you at the session? She never came up? Nothing?
She said hello when she came in.
Okay.
Polite. Yeah. So I get an email saying, I've had chronic pain in my left arm for 7 years. I woke up this morning, it was gone.
Unbelievable. And did she know why she had the chronic pain, or she had no idea?
She had no idea.
Okay. Well,
but whatever I said,
clearly it's psychological.
Yeah. So, but it was physical too, because you could see that there was. Yeah,
but psychology affects physical. I don't remember if I told you this, or I'm repeating myself and sound like an idiot, but I took a course. So before I went to law school, I was in college. I took a course about the law. No, I took a course on abnormal psych, and I was also taking a legal course at the time. And we had to do a paper for abnormal psych about, you know what abnormal psych is. Everything is normal until it's like extrapolated in your life, right? So it's not a problem if you're organized. It's a problem if it affects your functioning as a human being. So I did a paper about multiple personality and the use of it in like you have multiple personality. One of your personalities murders somebody. So
Mhm.
could that person testify, and could you be held liable for the other personality? But there was stories that I read about people's minds would change things, like they wore glasses all their life and now they could see 20/20 vision, or they played the piano in this one personality but never had training for the piano in their lifetime. So
Yeah.
clearly the mind is so powerful that it causes you to have physical ailments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I had read an article. I wish I had saved the link because I can't find it anymore. Uh, it was about a case with a person that had diabetes but had a split personality, and one of the personalities tested positive for diabetes, and the other personality didn't.
Yeah, I think I read about that when I was doing my research. I'll see if I can find you the article. There were all kinds of stories like that from my research. By the way, only paper I got an A+ in college. I got A's, never got an A+ on a paper. The professor was blown away, and he also didn't know a lot about the topic, so it helped me. But yeah, it's just the stories are unbelievable as to what your mind can do, because it's obviously all your mind. There's nothing that's physically happening that
Mhm.
would cause you to completely eliminate a disease that's, by the way, still in your body,
Yeah.
but doesn't show itself with the other personality.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of stories like that. High blood pressure, gone.
Yeah.
High cholesterol, gone.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible if you think about it, right?
Yeah. I had a client that would break out in hives in the summer for some reason the exposure to the sunlight can cause her to break out in hives. And we did a session and then it just stopped.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, hives are also some kind of things people get from stress. So they
Yeah.
have anxiety. They don't know about it. They don't realize it, and they're getting all, but that's what you get down to.
Mhm.
So do you consider yourself a coach, a therapist? I mean, how do you look at it?
I call myself a reality shifting specialist.
Okay. I like that term.
I like it. It's because
It's paradigm shifting, right? You're changing
yeah,
the way people see things.
yeah,
Then they can't argue with you that, well, you're not a coach, or you're not a therapist, or you're not this, or you're not that, right?
yeah. And I have to say, like, I am not a coach because a lot of the coaches they give you tasks to do. If you do this, if you do this
Right.
repetitively, if
Right.
you
Yeah, of
these
course.
exercises. And with me, it's we have a session and we're like, let's get rid of this belief, this belief, this belief, and then I let you go. I don't give you homework,
Right. Good luck.
and things change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That is amazing. All right. So do you have, and maybe you don't, I'm just putting you on the spot, but do you have a few pieces of advice for people who are listening? I mean, first we'll put in the show notes about your coaching sessions, and because I assume it's all virtual now, right? So if somebody's anywhere in the world, like you said, they can participate in the program,
yes,
and you have intro meetings where they can learn about it, right? And the whole thing. So we'll put links in the show notes to whatever you're posting now,
okay.
and how to get in touch with you. But do you have a few little pieces of advice for people?
So there's a couple big things.
Okay. Big things are even better than little things.
Big things a little bit. So, like I said, resistance is important.
Okay.
When you're in resistance, you're not creating, or you're creating more slowly.
Okay.
So for instance, so let's say that there's a line, and in the middle of the line is where you are now.
Okay.
On one side of the line is that life you want and the goals you want, and on the other side of the line is horrible, nasty things. So so this line is where your life's going to go based on the amount of effort you're putting in there.
Okay.
Now people are like, oh, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get to the one side, but I'm not willing to do whatever it takes to get to the other side. Like, who would? There's resistance. I don't want to go there.
Right. The
But when
bad side.
Yeah, but when
Right.
you're trying to say create a company, the best result is the company takes off and goes well. The worst result is that it goes into bankruptcy and you lose everything.
Right.
Right. So when you're in
And by
resistance,
the way, people tell you most of the time it goes the bad way. So you probably believe it's going to go that way, right?
that happens. Yeah,
That
it does
doesn't
happen quite
help.
often.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is people give no resistance towards the good side and they give a lot of resistance towards the bad side. But the universe doesn't function in duality.
Okay.
Duality
That's
is just something
interesting.
for people. The universe
That's a
doesn't exist.
Shirazism.
That's a
Okay.
Shiraz.
Okay.
So from the universe's perspective, however much resistance you're putting one way, you're creating the other way as well. So you're trying to
Interesting.
build this
Okay.
business and you're in such resistance to things not going bad.
Right.
The results you're getting are things aren't going that good because
Either.
resistance is there,
Right.
and you don't realize. And you look at it this way, like say you want to find the love of your life, but you're not afraid. You don't want to ever get your heart broken because you've had your heart broken before.
Yeah.
But in order to really love someone, you've got to open up your heart to a point where someone could crush your heart if they
Right.
wanted to.
Because that's the only way to get there.
Yeah.
You have to be vulnerable to find somebody that you love and want to spend your life with.
Yeah.
There's no
So
other choice.
Yeah. So you have to be willing to get your heart broken in order to get loved truly and fully. And it works the same with doing your business. It works the same with making money. If you're like, there are people that won't make an extra $100,000 because in the back of their mind, what if I lose it? I would be so ashamed and humiliated if I
Right.
lost 100,000. So it's better just not to make it.
All right. So I'm going to tell you something that to support everything that you're saying. So I met my wife. I had gotten to the point where dating, meeting people, I had been engaged, I had girlfriends, right? And this is before I met my wife, where I had gotten to the point where I said, you know what? If I'm single for the rest of my life, I'm happy. I don't really care. And as a matter of fact, my father had heart surgery at the time. I was with my sister at her vacation. She had a vacation place in the Hamptons with friends. I'd gone out there totally like focusing on other things in my life. That's the weekend I met my wife. And I don't know, 5 months later, we got engaged, and a year and a half later, we were married. We got three grown kids. So yeah, it's like you let that go, right?
Yeah.
And then it opens up the other possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people have to experience this with you to believe it. They're not going to just hear you on a podcast and be like, oh, great, I could change my life. No way. I hate to be skeptical about people, but it's not going to put you out of business just by having this discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the other thing is that like 98, 99% of your stories and beliefs aren't yours. So, and that's a crazy thing because you're living in other people's stories.
Because maybe you learned them from them or you're influenced by their opinions.
Yes, and even more than that. So there's the stories that your parents brought you up with.
Right. You're right.
And
about money, right? About things yeah.
And it's funny because even if you realize your parents' stories suck and you're like, I'm not going to do
you're
that.
still holding on to them.
Still in there. Yeah. It's
yeah,
still
of course.
Subconscious level.
Yeah.
But you can actually walk by someone and pick up their story. Right. And not even realize you just picked up a story.
Okay.
Right?
Interesting.
And this is happening all the time. There's this beautiful choreographed dance of stories going on across the globe. And when you start to really look at it, you can start to get out of it. Like right now, there's a big story about strife and struggle, especially in the US with all the job losses and what's going on with COVID. But that's a story that all these people have bought.
Right.
And when you realize it's a story and you don't have to buy it, then you can get out of the story and create a different story for yourself.
Right.
So a lot of people in my program are getting out of the story. I mean, we have the same sort of issues in Canada, but not as bad. And
right.
And my clients are just bypassing that because they're in different stories. And so that's why, get a 30% raise on your job, get a brand new job out of nowhere. Like in the middle of this, we still got shutdowns. We still got people out of work here.
Of course.
This is the results we're getting because you don't have to buy it. And it's so amazing how it can creep in there and you don't even realize because you think it's your thoughts.
Right.
They feel like your thoughts.
Of course.
Right. I had a client that was getting ready to divorce her husband. It turned out neighbors were getting a divorce and she picked up on the wife's story from the neighbors.
Right.
As soon as I made her realize that she didn't want to divorce her husband again. She was back to her normal self. But to her, the moment before, it was like, no, he's an ass. I want to get out of the relationship with him.
Right. It's like you're feeding off of their energy.
Yes.
And we're all electric beings, right? We're full of electricity. Everything's connected and all this kind of stuff. So that doesn't surprise me at all. I find that you could be in situations where you're getting mad at somebody that has nothing to do with whatever you experienced, just because you experienced it, and then you're funneling it at that person. And finally, if you come to your senses, you're like, well, what am I doing?
Yes. And anytime you've been in that situation,
a lot of times you don't come to your senses.
Yeah. Well, anytime you've been in a situation where you go, what just happened? Why did I act like this crazy person? You probably bought someone else's story for a while.
Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, it embedded itself in your brain, got wired in there, and next thing you know, you're really mad. And then if you say to the person, "What are you so mad about?" they can't answer you because they don't realize what they're doing. Consciousness, right? Awareness.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And the crazy thing is, it applies to everything. You can buy someone's illness story off them.
and start to develop. It doesn't surprise me because the whole, multiple personality thing.
Yep.
You spend enough time with somebody and they affect you. You start to develop things.
Yes.
Yeah, totally heard stories about stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, you start to physically develop symptoms.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like hypochondria is like an extreme example of that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
And
so those are two great pieces of
so,
advice.
yeah. And so right now, for some people this will come easy, but for other people you need to practice, and you may need to come to me and learn this stuff.
Right.
But if you ask when something shifts or you feel like you're stuck in something, is this my story? If it shifts in any way, if it's a pain and it lightens up, or if it's a thought and it stops repeating, or an emotion and the emotion shifts, you might even get worse or better, but it shifts as soon as you ask the question. That's a clue that it's not yours.
Oh,
And
that's good. Good
and then you
advice.
can, you can actually just say, like, just the same way I did that determined thing about the arthritis. It's like, no, not my story, stepping out.
Right.
And for a lot of people, and this works better and better as you practice it, it'll just goes away. And I live that way now. So if I'm walking down the street and I just feel like a little pain in my knee, I don't think, oh, what's that? Why do I suddenly have a pain in my knee? My first thought is, okay, whose story is that?
Yeah, well, that's because you've been trained that way and you
Yeah.
think that way. Right.
I'd like everyone to get to this point, because
Right.
like all these things that happen to me now, they start and I'm like, is that mine? Nope, not gone away. And it just goes away.
Right,
It
because
makes
you
my
don't
life.
let it happen to you.
Yeah.
You control what happens to you.
Yep.
And that's really what you're training people to do.
Yes.
So you can do that in business. You can control the things that affect you in your business and have it affect you in the positive way, not in the negative way.
Yeah. I have a student that she's in business, she's in IT, and she's a upper level there. And so she's been taking my energetic magic courses so you can learn to do what I do.
Right.
But she doesn't want to learn to do what I do. She just wants to learn how to use these techniques. So she's in this place where in the business meetings, she can start reading everyone else's story and then make everything flow by making them realize they're in the story, or just making her story override everyone else's story.
Right, because she knows what's going on. They don't realize, and she can control the whole narrative.
Absolutely.
So you have a course where people can learn how to do what you do for other people.
Yeah, I have three of them actually. It's levels 1, 2, and 3. So, and by the end of the first course, though, you can do the basics of what I do to other people and to yourself.
It's like instead of a Reiki master, you become a Shiraz master.
Energetic magic master.
There you go. I like that. I like all those terms. Well, I appreciate you spending so much time with me and sharing your thoughts. But I'm going to put in the show notes on all the